On the 27th to 29th of August, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 gamers got their first chance to sample Call of Duty Vanguard through the open Champions Hill alpha. I'm first going to explain what the Champions Hill game mode is, before I then go into more specific details about my impressions of Call of Duty Vanguard so far. In Champion Hill, 8 squads compete in a series of head-to-head matchups where the last team standing wins. Squads can either be 2 or 3 players. Teams begin with a life pool and either an MP40 or Thompson as a starter weapon. This seems to be random. Each round your squad is randomly matched up against any of the other 7 squads or however many squads remain. Rounds last 60 seconds and the aim is simple. Eliminate opposition squads while keeping your team's life pool intact. The last squad alive is the winner. Before the first matchup begins, all players are placed into a buying round where they can take a look at the available weapons, perks, support items and equipment that can be purchased from buy stations. It would appear from my time with the alpha that there are 2 weapon rotations for the weapon buy station, which kept things quite fresh. The available perks, equipment and support seem to remain the same between different games of Champion Hill. While in the arena, players can grab cash, weapons, lives and armour off the ground. Players can also upgrade their held weapons on the fly. Initial upgrades cost 100 cash and then further upgrades up to a max of 10, increase by 100 cash each time. Each weapon has a set path for upgrades which adds sights, silencers, grips and upgraded ammo types such as FMJ rounds or incendiary rounds along the way. For each matchup, squads can be placed into one of 4 maps. The maps are small in size but vary in types of encounters. One of the 4 is a rectangular play space with 3 lanes, cover down the centre but more open lanes on the left and right, so can favour long range fights. Another map is a square play area with plenty of cover. This can favour a more close quarters approach, so I found a shotgun worked well. The other 2 maps are slightly larger than the other 2 and take place around an airfield and train yard. Again, these maps play different from the others, so I felt that rounds played differently depending on the map I was placed on. Variety is the spice of life and also applies to the maps in Call of Duty Vanguard so far. Those familiar with Warzone or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 will find the settings menu in Vanguard very familiar. Having said that, there are a few settings that I still want to highlight. The first is Target Aim mode. In Vanguard there are 4 settings for Target Aim Assist mode. The default is the Vanguard Traditional Aim Slowdown near the target, which is also the default in Warzone. This setting is going to be the best for Warzone and Modern Warfare players, but for those who preferred Black Ops Cold War's Aim Assist mode, the Legacy Black Ops setting may be your preference. The other 2 Aim Assist modes are Precision and Focusing. When I was going through the settings, I really appreciated that both implementations of Aim Assist from both Black Ops and Modern Warfare are available in Vanguard, as I personally much prefer the Black Ops Aim Assist over Modern Warfare. I know many players, however, where this is the other way around, so I'm pleased that the settings are there. The next setting is Automatic Sprint. Since Vanguard is using Modern Warfare's game engine, Tactical Sprint returns along with normal sprint and sliding. When I was playing Modern Warfare, I had Automatic Sprint and Tactical Sprint turned off and ended up destroying my DualShock 4 stick from the excessive sprinting around that I did over my 500 hours of playtime. So in Black Ops Cold War, I used Automatic Sprint and found it was a much better experience and also saved my controller from unnecessary destruction. And therefore, I am very happy to see this option in Vanguard. I'm sure that other players will be increasingly using this option in the future as well. For Black Ops Cold War, the CDL pros banned the use of Automatic Sprint, but I believe that I've heard from one of the CDL pros, Clayster, currently of the New York Subliners, that even the pros are fed up with clicking R3 all of the time and will be looking to maybe use Auto Sprint or Tac Sprint in the upcoming CDL season for Vanguard. Weapon mounting also returns in Vanguard, along with a new setting, at least to me, called Weapon Mount Exit Delay. This setting lets players choose the amount of time a movement input must be held before you exit weapon mounting. In my experience in Modern Warfare, I got killed very often trying to exit weapon mount, and therefore I am extremely happy that this option means I can reduce the time an input is held and therefore get out of weapon mount and hopefully avoid these unnecessary deaths. Doors also return in Vanguard, but there is now an option for automatic door bash. This means you can run straight into them and the game will automatically bash through the door. Not a subtle option, but good if you find doors a pest. Finally, on the topic of settings, there are now dead zones for both sticks and trigger inputs, which should help eliminate accidental presses once configured to the player's liking. Let's talk about weapons and player movement next. In each game of Champion Hill, you will start with either an MP40 or Thompson, plus a secondary weapon. But there will be an additional 4 or 5 weapons available via the weapon buy station, or you can simply pick them up while in the arena. Obviously these are from players you've killed, not just weapons that are in spawn points. I'm quickly going to give an overview of my initial impressions of the weapon classes, but not individual weapons, as I didn't really have enough time with the game to see the nuance of different weapons within a class. Submachine guns have too much damage range in my opinion, and can become beam cannons with many upgrades, which in my opinion puts them too close to ARs, but without the slower movement. ARs felt fantastic and the most fun weapons I used in the alpha. I think this was because they felt the most accurate even with limited upgrades, whereas the SMGs were much more volatile in their recoil pattern. I didn't get much chance to use shotguns in Champion Hill, but they felt punchy and had character, unlike the shotguns in Modern Warfare, which to me felt lifeless. Shotguns did seem to have a very short range, but high lethality up close, as it should be. I'd have to say the damage range seemed pretty dead on too. Sniper rifles felt easy to fire an initial shot, but had high recoil, and this made it very difficult to get initial shots off in quick succession. Again, I didn't get much time with the sniper rifles, but my instinct is that the sniper rifles in Vanguard are going to be much closer to Black Ops Cold War in behaviour rather than Modern Warfare. But maybe take this suggestion of their behaviour with a very large pinch of salt. Regardless of what weapon you pick, the time to kill in Vanguard seems very fast, to the point where I found retaliation was very difficult. However, gunplay is rather fun and has good visual feedback. Player movement to me was very similar to Modern Warfare in terms of pace, but I did find that vaulting speed is significantly slower than Black Ops Cold War, and sliding speed is pretty slow too. I did mess around sprinting and sliding in the buying rounds, and struggled to see situations where sliding would be beneficial. Having said that, my experience with sliding in Modern Warfare was very limited, so again, I'm unsure exactly how players will react to the sliding mechanic. The slide itself is pretty slow, and I found that the aiming transition after a slide was also slow. To me, I really like this, as it keeps the mechanic in the game for those players who want to use it, but really doesn't make it overpowered in any visible way that I can see. This is just my opinion, but I think this mechanic will definitely be tweaked in some way before the launch of the game, as I just don't feel it's quite right at the moment. I'm sure there are many visual improvements and tweaks still to be made to Vanguard, but for a PlayStation 5 native alpha, I was a little underwhelmed by the visuals. This is, however, what I expect, to be honest, as none of the PlayStation 2 Call of Duty games have ever been a visual masterpiece, but compared to some maps on Cold War and Modern Warfare, Vanguard falls rather flat, most likely due to the overwhelming amount of brown used in the visuals. Put it this way, if you told me that Vanguard was a PS3 era game for its use of the colour brown, I would absolutely believe you. Of course the game looks far better than a PlayStation 3 game, but you get my point of the overuse of that colour. Maps appear rather dull in comparison to Cold War, primarily because of this overuse of the colour brown, and this has a massive impact on map visibility. Map visibility in Vanguard overall is rather bad, as the distinction or contrast between players in the environment is lacking, which means that you often don't spot other players until it's too late. I think that the uniforms on players could do with being a slightly lighter tone or colour, and I think that the lighting of environments should be intensified so that visibility is improved. I can see that the mood that the developers were going for from an artistic standpoint has been great and looks really good. While it is effective from that artistic standpoint, for me it's just not working for gameplay, which matters more at the end of the day. I think that texture detail could be improved. Having said that, the overall quality of assets is high, and the quality of alpha effects has perhaps improved over Cold War. Performance also seems very stable, but given that Champion Hill doesn't have too much going on at once, I would have expected this to be the case. The audio quality in the alpha was overall okay, but could definitely be improved. Some of the audio mixing was a bit off, the in-game announcer was pretty loud, footsteps seemed rather quiet, and gunshots lacked a bit of body. I also encountered one audio bug where placing a mine activated decoy-like sound, gunfire going off in the distance basically. Perhaps I was being an idiot and actually I'd placed a decoy unknowingly, but I don't think this was the case. Destructible cover has been implemented into Vanguard, and I'm honestly not a fan. While the idea of eliminating camping is great, the number of times I feel I got killed through cover was really annoying. Perhaps I'll get used to destructible cover, but at the moment I have my cat claws sharpened for its inclusion in the game. Visually, it's definitely a better look to have destructible cover, but again for gameplay, it's more annoying than it is fun, at least for me. Player names are also showing up through walls and cover, which obviously gives away player locations, and coupled with destructible cover can lead to some easy and cheap kills that were undeserved. As for most alpha or betas I've played, spawn locations could always do with some work. They are not as bad as it was in Shipment when it was first introduced to Modern Warfare, but there are definitely some instances where I spawned right behind other players and got a free kill in Vanguard. This happened often enough to make me think that the spawns needed to be improved, but honestly they are not too bad, based off my playtime anyway. My final point on visuals regards the sights and scopes that can be added to the guns in Vanguard. The dot sight, which is added as the first upgrade to submachine guns, visually looks like a red dot sight, which to me doesn't seem period accurate. There is another sight which is added to the ARs which looks suspiciously like a sight from Modern Warfare. Again, to me this isn't period accurate. I'm not trying to say that the game needs to be exactly period accurate, as it is a video game, but to me these seem out of place. Okay, to summarise. While I enjoyed my time with the Champion Hill Alpha, and I think that the game mode has potential to be great fun with improvements, I think Sledgehammer Games have many areas of the game that need improvements and that need to be addressed. Visually, I think the game will improve before launch, but I have concerns for map visibility, as this is something Modern Warfare struggled with throughout most of its seasons of maps. I think my criticism of the audio will be sorted before launch, as Black Ops Cold War had some audio issues in its alpha and beta, and the game audio in the final release was great and if not superb. I think the balancing of weapons, how they handle, how they feel, and the overall balancing of Champion Hill as a game mode was really pretty good. Map design is rather cluttered, but this definitely works for Champion Hill as a game mode, since the maps are on the small and compact side, and therefore having an open playfield would be pretty boring. I do therefore though have my concerns for 6v6 maps, as if they had this many obstacles in the way, they would play exceptionally slow and be really campy, and this would be highly frustrating for the player base. So what do I still want to know about Vanguard? Well, given the map design of the 4 maps in Champions Hill, I definitely want to see if the 6v6 maps are going to be Modern Warfare quality at launch, which in my opinion was a total disaster, or Black Ops Cold War at launch, where all but one map was absolutely great. That one map was Cartel, in my opinion. I also want to know how the classes are going to work, if they're going to be in divisions, or are they going to be traditional classes? Are we also going to have 1 or 3 perks? How many attachments are we going to have? That type of thing. I also want to know how the game modes are going to work. Are we going to have ranked? Are we just going to have casual? Are we going to have a CDL playlist? And also, how many standard game modes are we going to have? And also the balancing of these particular modes. I hope that the CDL or the competitive mode is fully fledged and is in the game from launch, but we shall have to wait and see. I will be playing the Vanguard beta, so be sure to check out my impressions of that. Till then, take care and thank you for watching.